Yes, guys, it's your boy Neeks here with your cricket review. It's been a minute still because the last time you heard from me, second test was played between England and the West Indies in Antigua, and West Indies had won the series at that point, 2-0 up with one to play, and the whitewash was on, the blackwash was on. It wasn't to be. It wasn't. It didn't go to plan. I don't know what to say. It just didn't go. It didn't happen. Disappointing, actually, very disappointing, because Holder was suspended for the third test due to slow over rate. A lot of talk about around that, whether it's right to suspend someone, especially after the first test and the second test. They both ended 3 days within 3 days. So he had enough time to actually catch up with the overs, but he wanted to win the game, so he bowled him out. Literally, if he had just bowled on spinners to not win the game as quick as he did, he could have caught up the over rate, and then he would have played the third test. But obviously, that kind of takes away from the integrity of the game. You're doing what you can to win. You're playing your best to win, not to kind of think about any other matters outside of what's happening on the pitch. But anyway, slow over rate meant that our captain, for me, who was the key player for this series, he was out of the third test, so Kemal Paul, he came in to replace him for that third test. I was actually surprised that Alzarri Joseph started, will play the match, was selected, because we know that on the morning of the final day of the second test, his mother passed away. And so I wasn't sure if he was in the right mental state. I know he did play on that morning, but I'm sure there's certain things being organised as a funeral, etc. that I just didn't imagine he would have been in the right mental state to play that to play that match. And for me, with the series one, we were given an opportunity to see O'Shane Thomas, quick, big, fast bowler. But I'm wondering, maybe with Holder out, you don't want to make too many changes to the batting lineup. And if Joseph says he's okay to play, then you have to give him that benefit of the doubt. Brathwaite captained us in Holder's absence, Craig Brathwaite. And the first error, won the toss, good, chose to bowl. I think it was definitely more of a psychological reason why he chose to bowl. We had bowled England out throughout the series, very cheaply, put them under pressure, and I think he was thinking more on those lines, because if he had saw the pitch, the weather, it was definitely a bat first kind of day. The morning, of course, is gonna do a bit for the bowlers, and there's a little bit in the pitch, of course, that you can't just have flat pitches, but the pitch for me was definitely a bat first, and Brathwaite went for the bowl. And to be fair, like, we didn't bowl badly, but we didn't bowl as good as we had done in the first two tests, and as well as we could have. I know that especially Kemar Roach, he struggled with that new ball. The first spell, he seems to have struggled throughout the series, and he tends to come back and do better in his second and third spells. Didn't start very well. First wicket was taken after 18 overs. 16 overs. Keaton Jennings 30 for 1. I think we could have had him earlier. He was dropped. They brought him back into this team, and the guy can't cut it. He does not cut it at this level. They need to do away with Keaton Jennings. Rory Burns looks very good. Well, I say very good. Looks good. Denley, he can grind it out. But for me, they just need to put those two, I would say, at the top. Possibly Jason Roy, depending on how he does in the one day, especially during the World Cup. When it comes to the Ashes, definitely I would have Jason Roy. I'm up there with Rory Burns. Is it Rory Burns? Yeah, Rory Burns. And I would have Bairstow at number 3 with Root coming at number 4. Or the other way around. Root at 3, Bairstow at 4. We know Root doesn't want to play there, which is a massive problem when it comes to the batting lineup. But they dropped Ben Foulkes, the wicketkeeper batsman, who's been a very good batsman for England since he's come in, and it meant that the gloves could be given back to Johnny Bairstow. He batting down at 7, and it looks like they decided to pack the batting at the bottom, at the top of the innings, with people that aren't necessarily going to get a lot of runs, but their job is just to see off the new ball. Literally just dead bat, pick up a few singles, but basically protect the strength of the batting, 4, 5, 6, 7, from the new ball and the new ball bowlers. Where the strategy, generally your best batsmen are there at the top, and then your weaker batsmen at the bottom. England seem to have a bit of a reverse order where they're in the middle of their batting lineup is the strength of their batting, and either side of that is a bit dodgy. But either way, England, they were only 1 down at lunchtime. Then we picked up a couple quick wickets, Rory Burns and Joe Denley. And then Joe Root came out. He made 15. 4 down, 100 on the board. I thought, okay, cool, we can try and knock them out for 200, no more than 200, because especially when I think 250 would have been an absolute maximum. But if you're going to put the team in, you really have to be bowling them out on these kind of wickets for 200. But Ben Stokes and Butler, they kind of not took the game away from West Indies, but put England in a dominant position. Both of them getting a half century, 67 for Butler and 79 for Stokes, and it gave England the upper hand, especially having been put in. They ended the innings on 277, and you had to say they would have been happy with that. Then West Indies came out to bat. And it was like a throwback to what I thought we were trying to get away from. We kind of saw off the new ball with Anderson and Broad. Then Moeen comes in and we give away some wickets to him. And then they turn to their specialists. Like they decided to bring in Mark Wood for this match. They've been calling out for pace. They've seen how our pace bowlers hit the pitch. Bowlers has troubled all their batsmen, and they brought in Mark Wood, and Mark Wood was bowling faster than I've ever seen. Like, I know he's had his injury issues, etc., but even when he first burst on the scene, I didn't see him this quick. The man was touching 95 miles an hour. 95 miles an hour! I was like, nah, this is mad. And he ripped through that batting lineup. Like, we couldn't deal with it. That's the bottom line. Could not deal with it. As they came, they fell. 5 wickets in the innings for him. In the end, bowled us out for 154. Meaningful contributions at the top were from Joe Campbell, 41, and Shane Dowrich, 38 down the bottom. They're the bottom wicketkeeper. But that was really it. 154, 120 runs behind England. The game was pretty much up then, because unless we were bowling England out for 100, and again for me the pitch wasn't bad, but unless we're going to bowl England out for 100, we weren't having much chance. 150 absolute maximum, but we weren't able to do that either. Joe Root finally got some runs on this tour, century, to take England to 361 for 5 declared, setting West Indies about 450, 448 or so to win. I said 448. Actually, no, so it was more than that. Set West Indies 488 to win. So that was just a nominal victory target. We were never going to make that. For me, at this point, having won the series, having put in a disappointing effort in that first innings, it was about pride. Because having dominated the series how we did, we could not afford to end the series on a down note. The match was done. You have to accept that. But there's a way that you lose. And the problem with West Indies cricket in the last 10, 15 years, we don't even know how to lose. We don't even know how to win, but we don't even know how to lose. There's a way to lose with some dignity and some fight to show that, yes, everyone can lose because everyone is human. You make mistakes, etc. But you don't throw away your wicket. You play with some pride. You're representing your countries, your islands, the region. People just come out and spend their money to come and see you, and you need to pay them back with at least some effort. And it didn't start well. Did not start well at all. Blink, before you knew it, we were 31 for 4. And I was thinking, boy, are we even going to get to 100? Because if we lose this game by like 400 runs, that's embarrassing. I know the series was won, but it was embarrassing. But luckily, thankfully, Roston Chase, he came out and played a wonderful, wonderful innings. Got a couple of 50s on the tour, or within 150 and a couple of decent looking innings, but then he received like a snooter or a gazanda under his bat, no chance. So he didn't really have much of an opportunity to build on the first innings he played in the series. I think he made a 50 in Barbados, and he took the opportunity here to send us home, or send us back after that match, with that loss, with something more to smile about. Not only did we win the series, but Roston Chase got 100. Played himself, back into some kind of form. Showed that even when we do lose, we lose with a bit of pride. We show a bit of fight. Kemar Roach came out to support him. Alzari Joseph came out. They both hit around 20 and 30 respectively. But what really, was important, it showed the team spirit around West Indies right now, is that Kemo Paul, who was injured in the first day, which really affected our bowling. And I think for me, from the first day when he got injured, it was a wrap. I was like, this game ain't going. No holder. The person who's coming to replace holder is now injured, the bowler. So now we've got one less bowler to bowl out England on this pitch. And then we have to bowl them out again if we're going to go and win the game. So we were kind of behind the 8 ball in that regard. But he came out to bat just to see Roston Chase over the line for that century. As it was, Mark Wood got the man of the match. England won by 230 runs. Comprehensive victory. But the battle was won by England. But we won the war. The series was done. We went into that match, and I think maybe our intensity dropped a bit, especially once we got behind the 8 ball. We went into the game wanting to win, of course. But when we kind of fell behind the 8 ball, it's like, because there's nothing left to play for other than pride, the intensity behind forcing that victory wasn't there. England their reputations were in tatters. So they had to keep going, and a lot of players, they had a lot to prove and positions to fight for. But there's very few people in that team right now who are actually safe. The top 3 positions up for grabs. A couple of the bowling positions up for grabs. Even the wicket position looks up for grabs, which surprised me. And the Ashes is coming up. I think they've got one more test match, a 4-day match against Ireland before the Ashes. So whoever does come in, if anyone comes in for that one game, they ain't got long to prove, additionally, with the start of the county season, if they're going to get into that Ashes squad. So they had a lot to prove. Mark Wood picked up the man of the match for his match-winning spell in that first innings. But the man of the series, I said at the beginning, I would have given it to Jason Holder. Because for me, he was the reason we won this test. He united the whole islands. He's united that team. He's the leader of that team. Bowler, batsman, double century against in Barbados in the first test. Bowled with so much control. him and Alzari Joseph, that spell they bowled, I think was just before tea on the third day, I believe it was, in Antigua, the match-winning spell for me. Those are the moments that, for me, is why Jason Holder was the man of the series. His captaincy, in terms of, I think some of it was a bit reactive, but things like the DRS, taking decisive action, which Craig Brathwaite, as a vice captain and interim captain for the one game, lacked. Those decisive moments, and those were match-winning moments. So I would have given it to him. They gave it to Kemar Roach, well deserved. I think he picked up probably about 16 wickets in the series. Very, very well done to him. But we have won the Wisden Trophy. First time we've won it since 2009. We did draw a series in 2015. Went to England, won a match, but lost the series 2-1. But 2009 we won that one 1-0. This time round we've won the series comfortably 2-1. And the Wisden Trophy is home, baby. It's home.